Before this video starts, I just want to plug my own movie that I wrote, directed, and produced recently. It's a 55-minute long movie called Creature. It's a thriller, little horror thing. I made it with a group of friends. We made it in my house. It's a very, very small production, but I made it with a lot of love, and I'd love for you guys to go check it out and let me know what you think. Watch it before this video, after this video, I don't really care, but go check it out. Watch the first few scenes, see what you think. Leave me a comment and a like on that video, and let me know what I could be doing better, what I could be doing worse, and just, maybe give me some love. Or hate. I'll take whatever I can get, but definitely go check it out. Alright, here we go. In the great words of amazing actor Ellen Bernstein,
"You don't know. I'm gonna be on television."
Those words represent a love for television, an art form so powerful that people want to be on the television. They want to be on that tiny screen. They want to enjoy the fame and prosperity of TV in a way that you can never imagine on the big screen of film. Therefore, TV has become a very valuable tool for writers, filmmakers, creators to create some of the greatest storytelling devices we have ever seen, some of the greatest shows, some of the greatest worlds that we can ever even imagine put to this very, very tiny but somewhat growing screen over the years, because now TVs are pretty big. When I was a kid, they looked like this. Now, 2023 has been a great year for movies. As you've seen on my channel, I review a ton of movies. I've talked about a ton of movies. It's been a great year. And tomorrow, we will break down the best movies of the year. But today we're talking about the little guys. We're talking about the TV stuff. And I watched a lot of shows in 2023. There were a lot of shows that I loved, a lot of shows that I didn't love all that much. But today I'm going to be ranking the top 10 shows of 2023. The 10 shows that I liked the absolute most. And I'm going to go one by one and talk about every single one of them all the way until number 1. And you guys know how it works by now. I mean, come on, it's 2023. Do we not know how top 10 videos work? So let's just jump right into it. GenV is the first spin-off to The Boys. The Boys being one of my favorite shows currently on TV, if not my favorite show in general. It's just a great show that subverts the expectations of what a superhero comic book show or story should be, and it tells it in a very realistic way that deals with our culture as a whole when it comes to how we market these things and how we deliver what superheroes are to the public, and how corporate studios and assholes drain the money from the success of the superheroes themselves. It's a great metaphor for what's actually going on in the comic book genre as a whole. But GenV is a continuation of that, as we now look at this world through the lenses of these college kids, these kids that are entering the world of superheroes. They have not reached the fame that people like Homelander have reached. They're not at the level of those guys, and they're just kind of entering that world and trying to come into their own as superheroes, but also like in this fucked up world of conspiracies and crime and grotesque violence and all the stuff you expect from The Boys. It's all here, and it's kind of this weird coming-of-age story, but also this mystery drama that, although does not have as memorable of moments and characters as The Boys, it still ends up being an engaging experience that really hooks you throughout its entire runtime and throughout its entire length of episodes. It's a show that I thoroughly enjoyed. The violence is fun. A lot of the characters are really great. It looks really well. The sound design and the music that's used here is amazing. I think the actual location of the school is really cool. Some of the powers, like the main character who controls blood, like that shit is so dope. The ending is amazing, and it's one of the best cliffhangers of the year, and overall, this is a fantastic show. Twisted Metal is the first show on this list that was based off a video game. It will not be the last. And it's based off a video game that I loved as a kid and I didn't think anybody else played. I completely forgot about it, even though I did love it as a kid. Twisted Metal is a great game series that had this crazy art style, this bombastic gameplay, these weird over-the-top characters, and a story that made no fucking sense. So when I heard that they were doing a live-action adaptation on Peacock with Anthony Mackie, I was a little skeptical, and you know what? I'm happy to say they kind of nailed it. This show is as good as I think a Twisted Metal show could be. It's goofy, it's over the top, it's stupid, but it's also kind of charming and hilarious, and Anthony Mackie has so much fun, and all of the actors involved have so much fun here. I mean, Will Arnett as Sweet Tooth is hilarious, and Samoa Joe kind of embodies the physicality of that character so well. The world is built in a very unique way that actually sets it apart from other apocalyptic or post-apocalyptic worlds, and actually makes me want to, like, explore this world more in future seasons, which luckily we're getting a second season of it. The show's action is good, you know, it does a lot of stuff that's sort of generic for the genre, but as a whole, Twisted Metal was a big surprise, and it's one of the better video game adaptations as a whole, whether in film or TV, and I just kind of wish more people watched it, or talked about it at least, and enough people watched it to get a you know, renewed for a second season, but not enough to that I was hearing about it a lot. So go watch Twisted Metal. Now, I just recently finished this show, and it kind of took me a few months to watch, which you would think would mean the show is not very good, but it's just, you know, life is crazy, right? But Pluto, for me, is easily the best anime that I watched this year. It's one of the better shows I watched. It's an incredible show. The show is this dark mystery where you have these weapon of mass destruction AI robots. I think there's like 8 or 9 of them, and one by one, they're slowly starting to be killed off, and it's sort of this murder mystery of trying to figure out who's behind these murders, who's killing them, why they're killing them, and what it means for the world in a greater sense. And the show delves into so many different conspiracies, so many different stories of war, of regret. It's not just the simple AI tale that we're so used to, and it ends up being such an engaging show that really goes to unique places and really fascinated me by the end of it. It was both tragic, emotional, sad. The action was punchy. Everything was great. The characters were so much fun. The voice acting, I watched the English dub, which I almost never do with animes, but the English dub here was actually done really well. It looks beautiful. It has a lot of heart. This show is everything you expect from an anime, and even more. And this show is honestly what I wish the creator had been from Gareth Edwards. It's a great show, and I recommend watching it.
Money on my motherfucking mind. Cut 5 haircuts at the same time.
Telemarketers is the only documentary I have on this list, and I wanted to include it because it is so damn good. Telemarketers essentially follows these people that worked at a telemarketing place and were kind of documenting their experience over the years. You know, one of these places that is essentially stealing money. The place that the show follows was stealing money by pretending to be the police union and taking money for what they said were, you know, retired or wounded police officers, when in fact the money was just going to the people at the top of these companies. It's a really scummy scheme that this show thoroughly exposes to the world. And all of the people here are so likable, which makes this show so much fun to watch. But the actual scheme, at first, it's delivered to you in a silly sense. They're just showing you the ridiculousness of a telemarketer workplace, which is a great introduction to this world. But then as you get into it and you see the corruption, it's truly revealed just how scummy some things in our society, in our economy of the United States, and so just some stuff here is. It's really bad. And God, there's no show, there is no movie, there is no anything that could describe the current state of American politics and the current state of the American government and how our government operates, that when these guys went to go meet with a senator and the way they were treated when they presented this information to him. I recommend just watching the show to see that one scene. Look how that man looks down upon the people that made this documentary and completely ignores the information they were giving him, and this information just goes completely ignored in general, which is why people are getting scammed. You have assholes making millions of dollars off of stupid schemes like this, and honestly, one of the main reasons I wanted to talk about the show is because you should go watch it and give this situation the attention that it actually deserves, because it's one of the many ignored corruption schemes happening within this country. Now, a lot of you might be confused why I have this so low, because a lot of people really hype this show up. They think it's the greatest thing ever. And I think The Last of Us is a fantastic show. I think it's one of the best shows of the year. Obviously, it's number 6 here. But I do have some problems with The Last of Us, and I'm going to list out really quickly. First off, The Last of Us, the video game, is maybe my favorite game of all time. The two games combined, I think, are absolute masterpieces. They can't really be done any better. And because of that, I wasn't entirely in favor of doing a live-action adaptation of The Last of Us. Me personally, before this came out, I felt as though the game did not need a remake in any way, shape, or form. I thought it was perfect on its own. If you want to experience the story, go experience it in the game. That would be my recommendation. But unfortunately, they did decide to remake it, and they did the best they could possibly do, and the show is tremendous. On a technical level, it looks perfect. The cast, Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, do a phenomenal job. Everything done on that end of the stick is perfect. Episode 3, the Bill episode, is unbelievable and maybe the best written thing I've seen all year. But my issue is that the entire show outside of episode 3 is kind of a beat for beat retelling of The Last of Us. The show never really steps outside of its contained story from the games and actually tries to do something different. When it did do something different, it ended up having the best episode of the entire series, maybe the best episode of television all year. I know a lot of people would have been pissed if they had changed the story at all and went off on a different path, but here's my question. What is the point of remaking something if you're going to do it the same exact way? But here's my question. What is the point of remaking something if you're going to do it the same exact way? I don't understand it, and I've never understood it. Why do people want a beat for beat recreation? If you want that, just go play the original. I feel like if you're ever going to remake something, there needs to be a purpose and a reason for it. And if that reason is changed, then I'm okay with that. Now, I'm not saying they should have changed the overall story or the themes of the story, but I think that there could have been different ways to get from point A to point B in some of these storylines to better adapt them to screen. But overall, the base story of The Last of Us, the beat for beat story, is fucking fantastic, and it's a masterpiece. And if the game didn't exist, this would be number 1. But because the game does exist, I'm dropping it 6 tiers. You know, it's number 6 here. And you know what? It's a fantastic show, and I understand why it's a lot of people's favorite thing. Now, the show isn't finished yet, so it could move up on this list a little bit if it had been finished. But yeah, The Curses, it's terrific. Nathan Fielder is a mastermind. The guy's a mad genius among men. He is so smart, so hilarious. Nathan For You, The Rehearsal, both amazing shows. And here we have The Curse, which is maybe the most unique thing I've seen all year. It is so unlike anything I have ever watched ever. It stars Nathan Fielder, Emma Stone, Benny Safdie, and Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone play this couple who are essentially this weird HGTV, renovating houses couple. And it's kind of riffing on those weird stories we've heard from the HGTV world about these couples falling apart and all the crazy stuff that entails, but the story goes a lot deeper than that, and the world of these two characters is so crazy and so weird, and it blurs the lines between reality and fiction. It just feels so real. Like, I can't believe there is a script for what's happening in this show, because it's so disturbingly, human in a way, and that's just, I think, because I've seen so much of Nathan Fielder's stuff that feels real, and a lot of it is real. But man, this show is so good. The acting is unbelievable. Nathan Fielder actually flexes some muscles in the show when it comes to acting, but he is not outmatched by Emma Stone, who, holy shit, she evens Nathan Fielder in his acting abilities, and she is amazing. I mean, she's an Oscar winner. She might win an Oscar this year, and she is terrific in this show. Absolutely fantastic. All I could say is, I can't wait to see where this show is going. Mike Flanagan is one of the best filmmakers in Hollywood. I made a whole video ranking everything he's done. I recommend you go check that out. Link on the screen right now. The Fall of the House of Usher is maybe his best project. It's a fantastic show. It is so huge, so big, and so mind-bendingly crazy that I can't believe it actually came out and nobody fucking talked about it. It's a show that adapts the classic story of the House of Usher, and it does it in a new modern form that kind of riffs on Succession, more on Succession soon, but it's a weird horror thriller version of Succession, a sci-fi version of that, and the show just completely and utterly works for me. It's a lot of fun. It actually has some decent scares. The character work here is great. The performances are amazing. The writing is surprising. The show keeps you engaged in its mystery through its entire run of episodes. Mark Hamill is in the show. What more do I have to say? The show gets to a satisfying conclusion, and it delivers on its promises and its mysteries in a way that's super satisfying. And overall, go watch The Fall of the House of Usher. Here's another show not a lot of people talked about or watched, but Silo is amazing and the best new show of the year. It's a show that sets up this mystery of this post-apocalyptic world in which humanity is confined to this silo and they don't know what's outside. All they know is that when they try going outside, they die. And there's this weird corruption, kind of like modern US government corruption scheme going on within the government of this silo, and it's so interesting to see them breaking down what's going on slowly uncovering uncovering the mystery with Rebecca Ferguson, who's so incredible in this show. She is terrific, and the whole cast does a good job in slowly peeling back the curtain and revealing more of this mystery. It reminded me of my days watching Lost back as a kid. And the show gets to such an interesting ending and a great cliffhanger, and I cannot wait to see what season 2 will hold, because this show is one of the best shows on TV, and Apple TV is killing it. But god dang it, can they get faster and make it season 2? Is like, where is Severance? That should have been out already. Now, I could have easily ranked The Bear Season 2 number 1 because it is just that fucking fantastic. But we'll get to number 1 in a second. You already know what it is, but we'll get to it in a second. You'll know why it's number 1. But The Bear Season 2 is fucking masterful. It's amazing. It's incredible. What more can I say? The Bear Season 1 was a big surprise. It was one of the biggest surprises of last year. This weird show about these chefs and the world of being a chef that kind of dove deeper into family struggles and depression and character struggles, with Jeremy Allen White being an absolute monster of an actor. This season dives way deeper into that, giving almost every single character in the show a moment to shine, an episode to shine, really letting them all flex their acting muscles. But Jeremy Allen White is still the centerpiece. He's still the star, and his journey and this trying to renovate this restaurant and get it ready to be opened, and everybody going off on their own journeys to prepare for the opening of this restaurant. It's so great and so well done. And this season also did something else amazing. This little thing called cameos. And you know what? I wouldn't be a big fan of random cameos, just throwing in big actors, but this season does it in a way that makes so much sense. And the actors that they bring in get to shine. Will Poulter, this might be his best thing that I've ever seen him in. Olivia Colman, amazing. I'm not gonna spoil the rest, but there's one episode where a bunch of people show up, one in particular that may have won an Oscar relatively recently for a role that they probably shouldn't have won an Oscar for. But if this was the role that they were nominated for an Oscar for, although it's TV, I wouldn't be mad. This is the best performance they've ever had, and if you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna spoil it. It's the best episode of the series, and oh my god, it's unbelievable. Go watch The Bear. Go watch The Bear Season 2. Watch the finale. The finale's amazing too. This show is incredible. It deserves the hype. But it is not better than Succession. Yes, of course Succession's number 1. If I made a list of the top 10 TV shows of all time, I can make a real argument for Succession being number 1 on that list too. Would it be? I don't know. But you can argue it. The final season of Succession, and yes, that pains me to say, why did it have to be the last one, is the most engaging, the most thrilling, the most hilarious, and the best written season of television of the year, without a doubt. We follow the Roys right after the end of season 3, where there was kind of this divide in the family between Logan Roy and his kids, where he's selling the company and they're not very happy about it because they've all been fucked over. And I don't want to spoil anything for people that haven't watched the show, but from there, the season takes a pretty big turn. It goes in one direction, then it completely turns in a different direction, and then it does another turn, and it keeps turning and turning and turning, and weird things happen with characters. Super surprising and brain-melting things happen with other characters, and it builds up to an exciting finale that, although, you know, at the time, I was very disappointed in, I wasn't happy with it, it's grown on me, and it is perfectly written. I can't even front it. It's the best ending they probably could have done for the show to satisfy the audiences while being somewhat surprising, and to be honest, it's a masterful ending. Now, I could say that objectively now as somebody who was not happy with it at first. But between the music, the cinematography, the hilarious writing, and of course, the performances, I mean, come on. Kieran Culkin, did he steal this season? I don't know. You could talk about literally everybody. Brian Cox is so good, and he's amazing. And Logan Roy is one of the best characters in TV history, and I can't believe we're saying goodbye to this character. The fact that the show is ending and is over is so sad, and I'm so upset about it. And you know what, guys? It's not about the end, it's about the journey. And I am so happy that Succession exists, and I am so happy that I got to experience it. And on a low-key note, it's one of the reasons why I love this whole thing, this whole writing thing, this whole storytelling thing, whether you want to call it cinema, filmmaking, television making, call it whatever you want, but this whole thing of sharing stories and telling stories and making people invest in something, invest in worlds that don't actually exist and characters that don't actually exist, and get engaged with them like they're right in front of you and like they're a part of your actual life. That is what makes this show so good and what makes me love this whole thing that we all love. That's the video, guys. Please make sure to like it and go watch my film. I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next video.